5 tries to 2, 4 out of 5 conversions played, 2 out of 2 for the Dragons, 1 out of 1 field goal attempts and 1 out of 1 penalty goal attempts for the Cowboys. 79% completion, played 67%.
You can take a breath, David, just like
35 out of 44 sets, played 27 out of 40. 120 post-contact metres plus for the Cowboys. 6 line breaks to 4. 42 tackle plus, played 41. 8 offloads to 6. 1 forced dropout to 2. 0 40-20s, 298 tackles, played 352. 2 ruck infringements against the Cowboys, 4 against the Dragons. 1 inside the 10 against both teams. 5 penalties conceded from each side. 11 errors to 15. Robson made 50 tackles. Jack DeBellin made 47. Jason Tamalolo with 204 running metres. And Moses Sully with 184. Chad missed 7 tackles, made 20. Hiku missed 5 and made 17. Amon missed 8 and made 21. And Hunt missed 5 and made 12. Supercoach points. Drinkwater with 90. Tamalolo 89. And Lumi and Sully on 82 points apiece.
It's almost like Todd Payton knows how to coach, to be honest. But the way he set up Tamalolo's resurgence this year has been amazing. He was very, very good. But Ollie's looking at me like he wants to have the floor, licking his lips sort of oddly. So you can go first, Oliver.
No, well, one of the things I've noticed, right, every week we are going on about Jason Taumalolo and how he's back to sort of Jason Taumalolo form. I feel like this is a week where I sort of realised he's back to being one of the best players in the comp. That's like the way he's playing. And it's weird, he's not underrated because everyone's appreciating what he's doing, but no one's sort of putting him back in that conversation in terms of individual efforts, because for once the rest of his team is sort of standing up, but he's still putting up similar numbers to when he was dominant a couple of years ago. For me personally, I thought the best player in this game though was Reece Robson. We usually sort of praise his defensive effort, which was still there. His attacking effort was there last week as well, but this week as well, he sort of sustained that defensive form. Maybe you could put it down to him versus his old club, etc., whatever, but I'd say this was probably Robson's best performance of the season for me, and he was my best player on field at least.
Well, there's now discussion, the mail is out that he's now the second hooker in a New South Wales camp in some regard, so very interesting.
Yeah, I thought the Cowboys were really good. It was probably a game where they might have been under some pressure with some Origin players not backing up, and then some that had played a full Origin game. Look, I thought that Robson was really good, but Murray Tuolangi on the wing, he's just going unbelievably for the Cowboys, and also Jordan McLean is starting to get back to some real Melbourne Storm form. He hasn't really done much at the Cowboys at all, but I've noticed with their resurgence that Jordan McLean's far more noticeable in the game with his yardage and his defence. So that's probably just coming off the back of confidence in a team that's winning. But it's good to see Jordan McLean because he, was touted to be Origin and Australian player a few years ago and sort of fell off the radar a bit. But, maybe somebody that they look at in the future again if he keeps playing at that level. Drinkwater again is just offering that extra in attack that they really need. And look, and I know I say it a lot of weeks, but makes a big difference with halfbacks in teams. You look at the Cowboys and the Broncos and just what Townsend and Reynolds have given the rest of the team. The rest of their personnel hasn't really changed that much in these teams from last year, but some of these blokes have grown an extra leg in these teams that you wouldn't have noticed before. Like, this is not Tom Gilbert's first year he's played, and who noticed Tom Gilbert last year? I certainly didn't notice him as a footballer, but this year I've noticed him. They've got Lukey and Nanai and those guys that have sort of come along. But
and your man with one of the try assists of the game there, Cohen
Hess, and that's what I mean. But yeah. Him and Drinkwater that I've said were barely first graders, now they're, and I know Cohen Hess has played Origin, but they're going unbelievably well as a team at the moment. And you're right, Daggy. Todd Payton can obviously coach because he's been under pressure for a while and they were going like bustards, and even the start of the year, the Bulldogs beat them round 1. Yep. So in terms of that, so look, and St George, there wasn't much going on for them. The same, if it's not coming from Ben Hunt and Lomax doing a bit, they're sort of struggling a bit, I think.
On Lomax, every time Dragons had a chance, they kicked the ball away. How many times in the game do they grubber for themselves or kick behind
Yeah.
the line? And it was early in tackle counts.
And even Lomax in that second half where he threw that pass after 2 minutes of the second half, and they pick it up and they run and score the Cowboys. I think sometimes Lomax and those guys try and do a bit too much.
100%.
Just, tuck the ball under your arm there and take a hit and play the ball and get the ball to the other end of the field. Probably not necessary.
Yeah, I get you can be frustrated, but I reckon there was at least 3 or 4 times where they actually had a chance and a break, and they'll either tried to grub it through for themselves or tried to throw a miracle ball, and it was early in the count where they could have set themselves up for something more. We'll get to you, Barn. It's just with the Cowboys and with Todd Payton, it makes me think of an old Peter Moody line about when he used to take horses to Matoa to have them win a maiden by 15 lengths. You make them 6 foot tall and bulletproof, and they believe they are. And this is what the Cowboys are now. They're now in this situation where I think they probably believe they're the top 2 or 3 teams in the comp, and come hell or high water, these same blokes that we were going to say were going to win the spoon at the start of the year are now world beaters. So, go on.
They're fitter than the majority of other teams. You can see it. They very rarely gas out at the back end of any game, and it stands up with their defence. How many times there'd be a half break and then there'd be 5 Cowboys there to shut it down. You don't see that out of many other teams, and it's obviously he's got them fitter.
Who else we see it out of? Brisbane.
Yeah.
Even the week they played Penrith showed for the fitness, Barney, you're right. Like Penrith schooled them in the first half and I think didn't score a point in the second half. It stayed at 22-0.
Penrith normally run over teams at the back end of games.
Teams, and the Cowboys stayed in the fight there and weren't disgraced in the end. So you're probably right. And the players, when they're interviewed, said how tough their pre-season was, and he had them running up mountains and whatnot. So
getting them up at 4 a.m. and doing sand hills,
taking them out of their comfort zone.
This was the most points they've conceded in the second half all year.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah.
Yep. Dragons completely outplayed in this game. They never really looked like being competitive, and it was errors and ill discipline from the very start of the game. I think they dropped the ball in the first minute of the game and then gave away penalties, and you just never give yourself a look in doing that kind of stuff. Especially against the Cowboys. Their attack looked smooth and fast again. There's some good service from Robson, which is, you're seeing it more and more out of the dummy halves. They're giving really good, deep, flat balls, good, deep, fast balls out of dummy half, and it just gives the halves more time to play with the ball. They play a little bit different than most teams too, because they've basically got 2 halfbacks set up on either side of the field, and they're using Tamalolo through the middle and then Drinkwater on the sweep plays on the outside with their 6s. So they sort of set up and throw a few different shapes that other teams don't throw at defences. And it's working really well with Drinkwater. I don't know, he seems a little bit quicker to me this year as well than what he has in previous years. I don't know if he's been had a niggle for a while or whatever, but yeah, probably a bit of that fitness coming through, who knows. But Didden was pretty good with Robson. I thought it was a fairly average performance from St George. Sewer was pretty decent. Blake Laurie did a job. Lomax tried, but as we mentioned, they had a lot of errors. There was 5 errors just off him himself, and that was those flick passes out the back. They went nowhere. Sully, again, is really good. He's basically an extra second rower that they use out in the centres there at the moment. I'd like to see him get him a little bit more cleaner, earlier ball, but Brent Hunt's always one of their better players. I thought Jack DeBellum was the best Dragon on the field, though. Hamaso probably had a night to forget. He made 1 tackle, missed 3, had 3 errors. He wasn't up anywhere near his normal performance, Hamaso, but Lukey injury's not good for him, as we already mentioned. Val was okay on the backup. He looked a bit tired towards the back end of the game, but that's probably
crisp
to be
in the
expected.
first half. He would be the form centre in the comp right now.
Very close to it.
And under the radar.
And how fast is he looking too? Val Holmes and fit, and fast. He's like the rest of them. They just look fitter and faster.
Well, Hiku's probably in career best form, and how old's that bloke now? 31 or whatever he is. You got Tuolangi as well, was really strong out there on the wing. Lumi, sorry. Who is it?
Lemuelu.
It's Lemuelu.
Lumi's the Bulldog.
Yeah, that's right. Lemuelu. He played in the second row there, and he looked really good at the back end of this game. Obviously, he'll probably come in and take Lukey's spot, I would imagine. So there's not a bad replacement there. Maybe a super coach pickup for somebody if you're looking for one. But I thought Drinkwater was fantastic again, and Robson and Tamalolo were the best 2 Cowboys on the field, I thought.
Yeah, let's put a bow on this. We'll say 3 points Robson, 2 points Tamalolo, 1 point Drinkwater.
Yep.
I had the first two the other way around, but
No, that's fine. No, Tamalolo was sensational. Let's for old times'
his
sake.
ball
give it to
playing's coming back too, which is something he hasn't had for a little while. He's starting to put people away as well as busting holes himself. So I thought he was fantastic. I thought he was the best player on the field.